The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Current and Joseph Cristina as they serve up the hottest photography news and commentary.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 225. I'm Joseph Cristina here with my co-host Trevor Current. How's it going, Trevor?
Hey, it is going great. How are you?
Awesome. I wish I was in Germany. How about you?
Yeah. Photokina is going on. Actually, by the time you guys are listening to this, it'll just be starting. It starts on the 20th and goes to the 25th of September.
Right.
This is the big photography show of the year. Actually, every 2 years. Photokina's every 2 years now.
Right.
And this is like the big place to be. All the manufacturers are going to be there. All the new stuff is going to be coming out. This is really good. But I've been hearing rumblings though over the last year plus that Photokina has kind of been hurting as a trade show itself.
Yeah, just like all the trade shows, I guess, these days, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they've kind of built their whole business around this trade show, and as with PMA of the past, PMA used to have the big trade show. It filled up the Las Vegas Convention Center and everything, and over the years, basically just dwindled to nothing. Right. So it, hopefully Photokina will get a really good boost this year, and it'll be enough to keep that ball rolling. I'd hate to see anything happen to it.
Yeah, Photokina, like you said, is just the de facto place to go for new camera stuff and imaging stuff in general. But over the years, it's become a lot of B2B, B2B stuff. So, business to business, where one company will go see another company's newest wares and goods, be able to hands on it and say, oh yeah, all right, let's go ahead and get 3 or 4 cases into the store. I think this is a great product, this kind of thing. So it's a really big show for seeing new and innovative stuff. And I think that what has happened, Trevor, is the innovation has kind of died, and we're getting a lot of the status quo stuff. So a lot of these businesses, the big guys are always going to be there. You're always going to have Canon, you're going to have Nikon, Hasselblad, all the rest of them. All the big, companies will be there, but the smaller businesses are just not going. There's not a lot of things that are drawing them in that's saying, I have to be there at the show. So, like I said, I wish we could have went, but there was some things that that kind of came about that we weren't able to go to Photokina. But yeah, Cologne, Germany would have been a really nice place to be here on the 20th for sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll have news and be reporting on it on our next show. And we'll hear all about the hottest new things coming out of it. So
yeah,
stay
absolutely.
tuned.
Yeah, so moving on. iPhone 7, that was huge. We talked about it. We actually did a special on the release, and it looks like an awesome, let's call it camera phone, right? It is the camera out there. I think it's the number one camera out on the market today is actually a phone. But regardless, a lot of these companies, like, for example, the carriers like Verizon, AT&T, all the rest of them, they said, we're not doing contracts anymore. But now that this iPhone 7 is out, they might start reneging on this, right, Trev?
Yeah, so if you've gotten into a phone over the last year or two, most likely you've either purchased it outright up front, paid 100% for it, or you're doing the monthly payment plan over the lease. The lease over the course of the 2 years. But ultimately, you're paying full freight for that phone. And really, the carriers don't want to subsidize these phones. They lose too much money doing it. But it's a way to keep people locked in. So the dilemma they're running into now is a lot of contracts are coming due. That 2-year cycle has passed, and people are just not renewing their contract.
No.
They're saying, well, I've got my iPhone 6, I've got my iPhone 6S. That's good enough. I'm going to stay with that right now. I don't need the iPhone 7. So they're not upgrading. And the carriers are losing a lot of money, or a lot of guaranteed money.
Yeah, potential money. Whenever you have someone in a lease, just like a car company, your auto lease, they know that they're going to get, for example, with the iPhone, it might be $20, $30, $40, whatever it is, every month ad nauseum, like literally forever. Okay.
Yep.
And then a new one will come out and then you'll do the exact same thing and they'll get $20, $30 forever once again. And all of that, call it, consistent money is just out the window with this contractless model of business. So I think they're really starting to think, to contract or not to contract, that is the question. And I think that a lot of them are going to slowly migrate back into contracts because they just can't figure out a good way to do it. People want iPhones, but we know, Trevor, a lot of folks are on a 2-year or a 2-phone cycle. If you have, for example, a 6, right? Most likely you won't get a 6S, and a lot of times you won't get a 7, but you'll get the 7S when it comes out. So
or the 8,
or the 8, and be exactly 2 behind. So knowing this, it's very, it's very hard to say, well, how do we make this into toilet paper? How do we make this into something that are continuous purchases and not a bed buy, where you're buying your bed every, 5-10 years. So they're trying to figure it out, and they just haven't figured it out. They're fighting each other continuously. They don't know what to do. We used to have unlimited. Now all of a sudden some of them are doing unlimited. You're still grandfathered in for AT&T unlimited.
I am,
but the thing is your unlimited is bogus unlimited.
It's bogus,
what they do is they say you have unlimited, but then once you hit, let's say 5 gig or whatever that threshold is, they turn down that dial so that the data doesn't run at LTE. The data doesn't run at even the slowest 3G. It's just trickling at probably 2G speeds that it's so slow that the people it's unusable. It's unusable. The people at the carrier can't even test your phone because it's going so slow. So this is the type of stuff that they do when they say, oh, you have unlimited. Yeah, unlimited until when is the question. It's a hard thing. These companies are fighting back and forth, but iPhone 7 is the next little perk for them to try to figure out how to get them over to their company. I just got something just now from Verizon, just literally a second ago in my email box. Bring over your phone. We'll take your phone and we'll give you an iPhone 7. Period. There you go. Done.
Right. Well, that's what they're all trying. Exactly. Right. They're trying to get you to upgrade your phone, and they're doing these buyback programs now. Now, Apple, I know, had a buyback program for a while. We actually sold back my wife's 4S. When she upgraded to her 5S, and we wound up getting like $250 for it or $300 for it. It was crazy. So that's what they're doing now. They're actually offering these buybacks of your 6 and your 6S. They're giving you like $300 or so. So basically you would get into the new phone for 50%, $300, $350, maybe $400 if you go, to the top of the line. Right. But they're locking you into that 2-year contract to do so. Now they're back to that guaranteed money again. So they're going to be sorting it out, but there may be some really good deals out there right now. So definitely keep your eye open. I mean, if you just paid full price to get into a phone, you're better off riding it out for a while. Right. If you have the ability to get out, or maybe you're in the 5 line, 5 or 5S, it might be a good time to upgrade and be able to do it for a decent price if you don't mind locking in.
And exactly, especially if you have been with your carrier for an extended period of time and you know that in the locations that you use it on a regular basis, it's good enough service. Then it's worth locking in for 2 years. But if you're kind of on the cusp of saying, sometimes it works here, sometimes it doesn't. If I go into this building, it doesn't. Well, you might want to look at a different carrier for where you spend 95% of your time.
That's right.
So that's kind of like the nitty gritty or the gist about it. So anyways, we're going to get into a brand new camera from Canon. It is the M5, their mirrorless camera, in just a moment.
The 3-in-1 photo reference tool featuring the revolutionary dual access color control is a versatile all-in-one color reference accessory designed to help photographer and videographer dial in white balance, exposure, and color temperature. The PRT features a large gray card with center target, making autofocus lockup easy while providing fast temperature neutralization in camera or in post-production. A 12-step exposure gradient helps produce perfect tonal reproduction, balancing highlights with deep, rich blacks. Most photographers color balance by eye, using the temperature slider to warm or cool an image. This method delivers inconsistent and inaccurate results. The backside of the PRT features our dual-access color control system, which addresses this problem. With a single click, this system will automatically adjust color temperature and apply color tint to produce optimal and repeatable results for beautiful photos every time. From in-camera to post-production, the 3-in-1 photo reference tool helps push your creativity to the next level, providing complete color control over all your imaging creations. Grab one from your local or online camera dealer or visit our website at jcristina.com.
All right, we're back, and as Joe said before the break, the Canon EOS M5 mirrorless digital camera has been announced. So maybe this is the camera body that the rumors had it that Canon was going to be investing deeply into mirrorless for 2016. I don't know.
Yeah.
This seems like a good iteration of their previous mirrorless effort, incorporating some of the technology from their DSLR line. Overall, I don't know. What do you think, bro?
Well, I mean, let's look at just the features or the specs real quick, and then we'll kind of get into what I think. It's a 24 megapixel CMOS sensor. Now the thing is the APS-C. The one thing that's good is they borrowed the sensor from the ADD, and we know the ADD is an exceptional sensor,
sure,
so that's really cool. It shoots at 100 ISO up to 25,000. It uses a Digic 7, not the Digic 7 Plus, but it uses one Digic 7 processor, which is good. It shoots up to 9 frames per second. That's locked down. If you have it not locked down and it's actually searching focus, you can get up to 7 frames per second. That's still good. That's extremely fast, The EVF is, let's say, better according to what they're saying. It is 2.3 megapixels, which is really good. Let's call it 2.3 million dots. Now, the thing is there is no blackout, is what they're saying. Now, we all know one of the things that really hurt these mirrorless cameras is blackout. When you look through the EVF, if you're used to shooting film or an SLR or a DSLR, you know what you see through that back side of the camera is exactly what you're going to get within, let's say, 90%, 95%, or even up to 100%. But there's no blackout. Every time you hit the button, you still can search. So if you are shooting extremely quick type of shots, maybe your kid running around or sports or something like that, you want to still be able to take the shot and still see what's going on without, and when it blacks out, all of a sudden everything goes black and now you don't know where you are anymore. So if that did happen and there is no blackout, that is exceptional. A couple other things.
That's really good.
Is the video, right? They have HD video, right? The thing with the video is,
gotta have video, man.
Right, but now where's the 4K, right?
Yep. Yep, we're at 1080p video, and it's doing 24 frames, 30 frames, and 60 frames.
Right.
So, that's good. We're getting the 60 frames at the 1080. I mean, that really is what YouTube wants nowadays. So from a vlogging or a YouTuber camera, this looks really good. But I'm just unsure about the screen, though, right? I mean, we've got a 3.2-inch tilting touch screen, which is good. So from a vlogger standpoint or from a YouTuber standpoint that wants to point this at themselves and be able to see the screen doesn't articulate around properly.
Right.
It kind of tilts out and it flips around and stuff, but when you go to flip it so it faces you, it comes off the bottom of the camera.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I don't know. I think Canon just completely dropped the ball with that. Yeah, guys. So just imagine if this is the camera, right? And you have it on a tripod, let's say. Your back screen will articulate upside down, backwards like this. So your screen would be underneath here. The problem is now your screen will be literally cut in half by your tripod. I mean, it's like, just what the frick? Canon does just stupid stuff sometimes. I don't even know. They could have just easily just flipped it to one side, flipped to the other side, or even went up with it. I would rather not, but either which way. But down, I just don't know.
Right.
Now, they do have IS built into the camera, digital image stabilization. And since you can connect IS lenses to it, you can basically have dual image stabilization in the camera and in the lens itself. So what is produced on video with this image stabilization is really, really great, what I've seen so far. I mean, really good stuff. And then what I do like that it does have is focus peaking. So you could go and look through the EVF and now turn it to, let's say, red or blue or whatever color you want, and it will shadow or it will highlight what areas are in focus. So let's say, you're looking at a sky shot, everything is blue. You switch it over to red. Now you can see everywhere that's red haloed, right? Or outlined, you know that is what is in focus. Now, is that helpful? Yes, it is very helpful where, let's say, if you don't have really good vision, you're back there, or if you want to just check real quick, you can see whatever's red is what is in focus. Now, the back panel does allow you to, with a finger, just dial in focus wherever you want it to be, which is really great. But
that's cool.
Yeah, but having that focus peaking and seeing what it really thinks is in focus is fantastic. I mean, that's great, especially if you're doing weddings and you want to get like a ring shot and you're like, okay, I want it right here, or the flowers or whatever it is, to know that spot is going to be in focus. That is phenomenal.
Right, yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. Then they borrowed from their other cameras with the built-in Wi-Fi, NFC, and Bluetooth. Right. So that's good. I mean, that just needs to be in today's cameras because everybody has it in the cameras. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at an entirely different class of camera, then maybe it's not necessary. Like if you were looking at a full high-end medium format, blah, 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 then that might be an exception to the rule. But I mean, all of today's new cameras have this built into it. So it's good that it's there. I'm glad to see that they put it in there and don't need some type of an adapter or something to use it. Right. I don't know though. I mean, $979 for the body.
Right. That's body alone, right? But they have body alone, and they have two other options, guys. They have the body with one lens and body with another telephoto lens. So the one lens that they come with, it's a 14 to 45, which is at $1,100, and they have the telephoto, the long telephoto, which is 18 to 150 millimeters, is at about let's say $1,500. The problem with these lenses is, and I say this all the time, they are not like an f2.8 or an f1.4, an f2.0, or even an f4.0. They're those meandering this goes from 3.5 all the way up to 6.3. So what that means is when you're at the back end of, let's say, the telephoto lens, you're at 18 millimeters, you're at 3.5 as far as your f range. So, now all of a sudden you go up to a telephoto of 150 millimeters. Now your lens just, closed down, and you're getting darker and darker and darker by stop after stop, literally like 2 or 3 stops of light, whatever. It's just, I don't understand, why folks buy these lenses. I do kind of, because they're cheap, but I would have to say anyone, even if you're an amateur, and definitely if you're a pro-am, for sure. But even if you're an amateur, look for lenses that have a consistent f, let's say 2.8 and f 4.0. I don't care what it is, but consistency. So this way there, you could take one variable out of the mix. It's hard enough to shoot really good images, especially on manual, right? But if the camera is doing things that you don't know what it's doing and when it's doing it according to your zoom range, it's just another problem and another thing you have to add into the mix. You don't want to do that. So
no, I agree. And this goes back to this is not a professional's mirrorless camera. Right. I do not believe that a professional event or wedding photographer or anybody that is, of that higher end level who's getting paid for their shooting will be looking at this mirrorless as the next big thing. Right. I just don't think it's there. I mean, it's got a lot of really nice features. I think for the price tag of it, I think it's a really good consumer level camera. Right. And these kit lenses that come with it are probably good enough for most amateur photographers
Right.
who are looking for that interchangeable lens body but don't want the bulk of the DSLR. I think this is a good option.
Right.
This, in my opinion, is not the professional's mirrorless camera. This is not the new alternative to a high-end DSLR.
Right.
And that was what we were all led to believe Canon was working on, saying that they're going to invest in mirrorless technology in 2016. We've been hearing this for a year.
Right.
And if this is their big announcement, if this is their big investment for 2016, then maybe they're reevaluating their customer base. And maybe they're looking more towards the consumer product line as being their big bread and butter, which obviously it is. There's more people out there. And just saying, you know what, we're just going to keep doing more of the same for the pros because they love us.
Yeah,
and they're going to buy us no matter what.
So they dropped the ball here in two different ways. Number one, this could have been a replacement to the ADD. Instead of having a big DSLR, this could have been the vlogger's dream camera if that damn articulating back screen actually articulated properly. All right, that's number one, where they dropped the ball. Number two, for me, I think that they should have put in a full frame sensor and not an APS-C sensor. And I've talked about this in the past. And the reason being, bigger pixels make better images if they're good pixels, period.
Right.
That's why when I go and shoot fashion or commercial, I'm getting Hassies. Why? Because I need medium format, because I need a ton of pixels that I can push around and get them to do what I need them to do, right?
Sure,
so yes, you can do the exact same thing on a micro, 4/3 camera with a little, a sensor the size of your fingernail, but it's still not going to be the same as getting a huge sensor that gets a ton of light. Now, that being said, if they would have followed the path of Sony, that has now like the A7 S2, the A7 R2, these are mirrorless cameras, right? But they're full frame mirrorless cameras. I think that they dropped the ball with this because now they are back to, let's say, square one. Their mirrorless product, their M5 now, is basically a ADD, mirrorless ADD, let's call it. And it has not moved up to an A7 type of status. Now, they do not have something that can compete with Sony. Sony's been eating their lunch for so long now. There's going to be a lot of folks out there that disagree with me, but me being a Canon shooter for so many years, I could say I am not a Canon fanboy, even though I shoot their product. I just say it how I think that it is. That doesn't mean that I'm right.
Yeah.
But some people will think that I'm wrong. That's fine. But I really do think on those two levels, number one, on that sensor, and number two, on that articulating back panel, they could have done it right. But as always, you just think that they're there, and then they just crumple it up, and just throw it away, and they just botch it. They botch it. Well, I just don't get it.
And the other problem here too is the lenses, right? Because you need the EF-M lenses for this body, or if you
have to have an adapter,
right? Or you have to use an adapter for your regular EF lenses,
right?
Okay, so now you're throwing an adapter in the mix. Now they say that it's going to work. You're going to get your autofocus. You're going to get all your exposure, everything else, and that's great. But it's still an adapter.
Yeah.
And adapters fail. Adapters are not always great.
Yeah.
I mean, you've tested adapters trying to put your Canon lenses on Sony bodies. Now, two different manufacturers. They were never designed to work together. That's not the intent. So maybe Canon really nailed it with this adapter. Maybe it's going to be perfect. Maybe you'll get the best of both worlds. That's fantastic. And then if that adapter works for you, that's really, really good. But again, I don't think this is the professional's camera. No. I think this is the consumer level camera where they're going to sell, the EF-M lenses, and get people into that line of product and not worry about trying to retrofit the lenses that everybody has had for years and years and years.
Right. Now,
onto this new body.
A side note here, if you were a wedding photographer and you wanted to use this camera for video, 60 frames per second, 1080p, with not necessarily these junk kit lenses that I was telling you about, but going with, like, for example, one of their 22 millimeter f2s or a 28 millimeter macro. That macro, which is unbelievable, it's an f3.5, but it actually has lighting built into it, which is just crazy cool. It's really good for that, and it can be a really small, let's say, tool in your bag, so you have your DSLR, your big DSLRs for shooting the stuff that you need, but this can be good as a side camera, or maybe you have a second shooter with you and you don't need them to capture, the best DSLR type of images because you're going to do that. Maybe you need them to do B-roll or some images that you want to share now on Instagram immediately. And that's really good for advertising. So that's what they could be doing as, as your assistant. Now, once again, using that Wi-Fi, NFC, Bluetooth, blah, 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 you can now use your, iPhone 7S monster that you have and literally upload these images into your bridegroom's folder, and all of their, friends and family from around the world can see it as it's happening. Very, very cool. So, I mean, there's a tool for every job. I don't want to poo-poo this camera completely, but I do think that they could have made so much more with it in accord to what Sony is doing, and really kind of get back up there. And they just to me, they dropped the ball.
Yeah, that's right. And I hope, our listeners and viewers understand the perspective that we're coming to. And I would have to think that they do. That's why you guys listen and watch the show. Right. That we're looking at this more from the advanced to professional level, because that's what Joe is. He's a professional photographer. I'm a designer and a web developer for many, many years and do photography as part of my business. So we're looking at it from a professional's level. Is this the quality that we would want as a professional? Now, I think you're exactly right. Using it as a tool in your kit for a certain circumstance, sure, absolutely. I mean, GoPros work good for that too. Right. You see a lot of professional productions being done with GoPros. So, I mean, I do think it would definitely have a need, but I don't think it is a replacement for. Right.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the rant on this show. So that's really about it. We really need to get out of here, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Just one quick announcement that we want to get out there to everybody. Photo Plus Expo is right around the corner, and we are going to be running another big, huge giveaway. That's right. As we did with the WPPI. So we just want to give you kind of a heads up about that. And also, if any of you are, photography manufacturers, you'll sell products or services to photographers and you want to reach a big audience, definitely head over to our website. Look in the show notes here. We're going to have a link for something that you very well may be interested in and could give you a lot of exposure for your product.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get your product basically in front of probably over 150,000 photographers. So that's right. Really cool stuff. Yeah, definitely head over to the website, digitalphotographycafe.com. We'll put something on the front page so you can just click a big button and get right over there and check it out. This is definitely worth it. And yeah, the last giveaway that we did was just massive, like 6,400. Yeah. I think it was like 6,400 entries and over $4,000 prize to the winner or something. It was really
a lot big. Of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we need to get out, bro.
All right, we're gone. Joe, if our listeners and viewers want to connect with you, what's the best way?
Yeah, find me over on Twitter, and that's @JosephChristina, and that is Cristina with no H. And don't forget to follow me over on YouTube also. Go to youtube.com/JChristinaPhoto.
Excellent. You can connect with me on Twitter. It's @TrevorCurrent.
So, all right, everyone, we are out of here for yet another week. You can get all of this episode's show notes at digitalphotographycafe.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/DPhotoCafe. And we'll see you next week. Take care, guys.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe show with Trevor Current and Joseph Cristina. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with any compatible device by visiting youtube.com/DPhotoCafe. Be sure to subscribe to our audio feed through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps or through RSS. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your hosts.